Madam Speaker, you need to bring order to the House. Senator Matangi.
Senator, one minute. Senator Mutula Jr.
Madam Speaker, in correcting Senator Matangi, we want to declare that we also love him, and sometimes it's correct to say sometimes you don't have the information properly. Senator Matangi, please read the whole Constitution, 89 all the way down, but I prefer you read 9. Yes, subject to 1, 2, 3, 4. The names and details of the boundaries of constituencies and wards determined by the Commission shall be published in the Gazette. Now, the cause of action for any Kenyan can only arise after the Commission gives the names, the details of constituencies and wards. That Commission is the IEBC. There's no other. So that we don't have a back and forth.
Yes, is on a point of order. Can you let the Senator Mutula finish first?
Yes. So that the point should be that once IEBC makes a and I like Senator Matangi to listen to me because he's my brother, and I'm not going to charge him for this advice. The only time a Kenyan can question a decision on a constituency and a ward is after IEBC has made a decision. And it's important for the record. We're doing this for the record. And if you go back to your transitional clauses, Senator Matangi, the current IEBC is a successor of a former IEBRC. IEC. That, yes, to the extent that this transitional commission that was then prior to this current IEBC was also doing boundaries and is covered in the transitional commission. I'm saying this for good order so that we don't confuse the issues, and then one time you don't get yourself into a legal quagmire. Ignorance is no longer bliss when it comes to the law. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, you know Senator Matangi is no longer on the floor. You are also eating. You should have raised this issue while he was still on the floor, because we are also eating on your time. Let's proceed. We are not going backwards there. Senator for Cheruiyot.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We can carry out that debate elsewhere, because they'll disturb me if they continue. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I really want to appreciate this opportunity to make my contribution on behalf of the people of Cheruiyot on this very important bill that has been brought before us, Madam Speaker, and share what I consider to be my thoughts and reflections on what the feeling of the people that I represent in this House are with regards to this attempt to amend the Constitution. Madam Speaker, I'd wish to delve into a debate that has prominently featured in this House from earlier on, even before this bill came to this House, on the interpretation of Article 257, subsection 10, with regards to what latitude do we enjoy as Parliament on a popular initiative. Madam Speaker, I wish to be clear about it from the very onset that I belong to the school of thought that believes that Parliament does not have a ceremonial duty of just being paper pushers with regards to any bill that is presented before it, be it the regular bills that are brought before us or a constitutional amendment bill such as the one that we have before us. Madam Speaker, I have listened to people attempt to even limit our mandate. Very prominent lawyers and scholars argue that actually our duty as Parliament is only limited to as far as correcting typographical errors. I cannot be convinced, Madam Speaker, that the people of Kenya can elect senators into this House, members of National Assembly, serious people, only for us to come and reduce them to be lexicographers that their work is only to check spelling mistakes and errors and not interpret what they feel ought to be the right direction that the country needs to take. Madam Speaker, my reading of Article 1 of our Constitution on the three arms of the government that Kenyans have donated their sovereign power to. In fact, number one on that list is Parliament. If it was possible, Madam Speaker, for all the 47 million Kenyans to gather, and since it is not possible, Madam Speaker, the only arm of government that comes closest to a gathering of the 47 million of Kenyans is Parliament. The judiciary cannot claim to exercise that authority, neither can the executive. But since I sit here on behalf of the 1.2 million residents of Cheruiyot County, I represent them. And any time they attempt to do anything that has the force of law, as per the dictates of Article 94, as was correctly pointed out by the Chair of Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, then I am duty bound to ensure that whatever they are doing advances their interest, because that is my duty. That is representation. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I cannot agree to the school of thought that is being advanced by a few of us, that our duty in this exercise is only purely ceremonial. I believe that if granted an opportunity, and I have taken time to listen to the proposers of this bill, the kind of things that they aim to achieve, they are good things. They are progressive proposals that are in this particular bill, Madam Speaker. But it will be an abdication of my responsibility as a leader if I tell my constituents that I read the report. I even went further to read these almost 200 pages of report that has been produced by our committee, Madam Speaker, which clearly points out to the errors that are herein in this bill, and still tell them that my hands are tied, you do with it as you wish. I do not believe that was the intention of the drafters of our Constitution, Madam Speaker. You'd recall, now going on, Madam Speaker, to my consideration of what I think ails this particular process and the technical issues that are bound therein, that in 2017, the very good Chief Justice, David Maraga, reminded the country that the process is, that the product is as good as the process that was used to achieve it. What has been the process of attaining this particular bill? I may be young, Madam Speaker, but I'm not too young to remember that there have previously been other attempts to amend our Constitution. I consciously remember the 2005 attempt, the 2010 attempt that successfully gave us a Constitution that we are now trying to amend, and what the procedures. It was a gathering of all Kenyans where everybody was allowed the democratic free will to speak as they wish. But what do I follow when I see what has been happening in this particular BBI process, Madam Speaker? There has been a clear attempt to stifle the voices and thoughts of those who don't agree with this process. It will be wrong on my part to support such a process that is flawed from the onset. If you do recall, and a few of our colleagues here were ministers in President Mwai Kibaki's cabinet, in 2010, perhaps having learned from the misadventure of 2005 and the very unfortunate events that happened in 2007, President Kibaki allowed even his ministers to choose which side of the constitutional debate to belong. I can count as many as 4 ministers that I remember, including the current majority leader, who were in opposition or did not or belong to the no camp at that particular time when we were amending this Constitution. They were not threatened. DCI officers were not sent to raid their homes. But this particular exercise, where county governors and anybody who has dared to exercise their free thought on this particular document has had all manner of threats, intimidation, blackmail. Therefore, it pricks my conscience, and it will be a very unfortunate event, Madam Speaker, if we allowed such a process to pass. We will actually be dancing on the graves of the very patriotic Kenyans who paid a heavy price for us to have the 2010 Constitution, if we allowed it to pass. Madam Speaker, in fact, if the unfortunate event that this BBI process succeeds in amending our constitution, it will be a case study across the world on how not to amend a constitution. This is not how to do it. Something is absolutely wrong. And that's why I must stand and declare today, Madam Speaker, that much as I agree with so many of the proposals that have been shared in, we must be able to point out what are some of the errors that we point out. Moving on to the technical issues, Madam Speaker, of the things. Tinkering with independent institutions, Madam Speaker. Number one is IEBC, the debate that has just ensued on this floor. And I wish Senator Wamatangi had bothered to read that Article 89 plus 10 on what it says, what options are available to Kenyans. It is only after the commission has made a decision. You know, the biggest and the most absurd thing about this proposal and schedule, Madam Speaker, is that now, thanks to this misadventure, you're going to have one constitution that treats the same issue differently. That you have 290 constituencies where IBC has been granted the proper mandate and authority on where to place them, how to name them, and all those other details as Kenyans desired, and an extra 70 that can only be domiciled in a particular county. How absurd can that be, Madam Speaker? That will be unfortunate if you have such a constitution. If you think even about the judiciary, you all know, because you are currently trying to recruit the Chief Justice. Look at the challenges that we have in our judiciary, Madam Speaker. Kenyans are speaking. Kenyans are observing. We may not be able to say it loudly, but even look at the current composition of our JSC and the decisions that they've been able to give us. Is that how to build a republic? Aren't we setting up this country for failure? Because it will reach a time where Kenyans will look and say, if in this country you don't stand a chance if you come from a particular regional tribe, then we'd rather divide this country so that those who feel that it only belongs to them and it's their privilege and right or birthright to serve in certain constitutional offices are allowed to enjoy their part, and those of us that are considered to be lesser Kenyans can have a different country. That is by and large. If you read clause 44 of this particular bill, and Senator
Honorable Senators, kindly consult in low volumes, because some of us are interested in hearing the debate going on.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was referring to clause 44 of this particular bill with regards to this ombudsman. That if you read part 4 of that, on part of the duties that the ombudsman is supposed to partake, is that actually they are going to recommend the actions to be taken by JSC. Let us not reduce this to be a technical thing or something that can be plucked out of the moon. What do you mean when you say somebody is going to recommend an action? It means the hands of JSC are tied. If you are told sack a judge, you will sack. There's nothing else left for you to do, even if you pick an independent JSC. Therefore, the office of the ombudsman, as presently created, is a threat to the independence of our judiciary. And what makes it even more tragic, Madam Speaker, is the fact that this ombudsman is nominated by a president. You do know that part of the reason why we still are surviving as a republic in this country is because of the actions of our judiciary. Especially in these last 2 or 3 years, when we haven't had a functional opposition in the country. The people that have kept the interest and the rights of Kenyans to be considered has only been the judiciary. Now imagine if a judge is presented by somebody whose rights have been violated by the state, and they know that there is a gentleman or a lady known as the office of the ombudsman appointed by the president, who's only awaiting for him to rule against the decision of the executive. Will that judge have the free rein to make a decision that will protect our rights? My dear brothers and sisters who sit in parliament, please do not give Kenyans poison when you have the chance and the opportunity to stop it from happening. Some of them may be ignorant, they may not have the power to understand some of these things, but they have given you a responsibility. That's why you held a Quran or a Bible and said you will defend and protect this constitution. Part of defending a constitution is keeping it alive and ensuring that it is not tampered with in the way that is being presently proposed before us. Don't allow your citizens, the people who woke up early in the morning to go and vote for you, to be in a situation where they will not have a free reigning judiciary. Madam Speaker, you do know that actually in the existence of a state, and all scholars that have taken time to study how a state functions, this state of tension between parliament or the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive is actually one of the tenets that are so critical to the proper functioning of a state. Because if you grant one arm of government the power to lord it over and determine the fate of the rest, they will completely wind up the rest of the institution, just like what has happened to parliament. It's not an issue that I want to get into of the challenges that we have faced. Think about even something so, one of the products of this constitution like the SRC, Madam Speaker. It is now proposed in this particular bill that instead of the nomination that Senate does on behalf of counties, that Parliament does on behalf of the people of Kenya, that KOTU, so for example, and I wish Mzee Atwoli, somebody had educated him to know that the powers of KOTU to nominate someone to SRC have been taken away. And the rest, you know, that's why I'm saying, don't take advantage of ignorant Kenyans like Atwoli. Let them understand what this constitutional amendment bill is doing. Because, Madam Speaker, if you say that you are granting the president the power to nominate 7 commissioners to SRC, what are you saying to the rest? Tulisema tuache kusumbuana.
Senator Shionga, what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I'm standing on point of order. Just to let Honorable Senator Cheruiyot that Mr. Atwoli is not ignorant, but he's just a Kenyan who is supposed to be educated with somebody like you or be taught, but he's not ignorant. This man has done a lot. Please ask for apology. Thank you.
I'm glad she's right. Actually, she said he's supposed to be so educated. So I agree. She actually agrees with me. So, Madam Speaker, that is with regards to SRC. That now the president will have the free, actually this is the proper return to imperial presidency that Kenyans avoided. Because if as a president you can determine the salaries of teachers, doctors, parliamentarians, by simply nominating 7 of your cronies to SRC and tell them I don't like this parliamentarian, pay them peanuts, what will you do? What will be our point in recourse? Madam Speaker, I serve in a constitutional commission. You know that I represent you in PSC. Any proper thinking of how, for example, to strengthen our independent institutions, if I was asked as Senator Cheruiyot to propose a way and means we can, ways and means of strengthening our independent institutions, then one of the things that I will propose is that let it be determined in our constitution what percentage of budget each of our independent constitutions are supposed to have. Because, for example, the reason why PSC survives is because we have got members of the National Assembly. Therefore, it is within our right. But I sympathize with institutions like JSC. Every time you meet them, they ask you, surely, are you guys not mindful of the fact of that Kenyans need access to justice? When we think about our police, for example, you know, we criticize this IG Mutiambai and the previous ones. But I know for the National Police Service Commission, for example, to function independently, all it will take is for them to have their own independent vote. How do you expect him to disagree with the PS and the CS for Interior when tomorrow morning he has to call them to ask for a budget line? It's not possible. It's the old English adage, he who pays the piper calls the tune. Therefore, if we want to strengthen our independent institutions, Madam Speaker, take an example of even Kenya National Human Rights Commission. Are you aware, Madam Speaker, that for the last 5 years, the only budgetary support they've received from the Parliament is exchequer to pay salaries, not a single shilling to do anything else, not to undertake any particular project. Then somebody says, you know, honestly, so if we want to strengthen this independent institution, this is not the way to proceed. Finally, Madam Speaker, because I know my time is on the diminished role of the Senate. This is where it gets interesting. I really want to meet the senators that will want to tell us that we passed this bill as it is, yet the true import of this bill as presently constituted, if we are not granted the chance, is as equivalent as actually sacking yourself. You don't have any duty. It is as sad a proposal as to the fact that this constitution now makes it mandatory that the only people governors are going to be accountable to are the county assembly. So what will you be doing in this house? Why would you want to be a senator? Honestly, Madam Speaker, you know, even our proposal, Madam Speaker, on the very important role for 10 weeks, Madam Speaker, Senate captured the imagination of Kenya. Senate brought this country to a standstill because we stood firm and we said Kenya, it's the territory and its people, and we ensured that we gave the republic a formula. We gave the country a formula that ensures there is equity, that ensures that every child across this country gets good and services from their counties without being prejudiced because of where they belong or any other things. But the proposal that is in this particular bill, which takes away all that fight that we did for 10 weeks, including the arrest and all the things that we said, includes in Article 50M, Madam Speaker, where it declares that the per capita giftings on any person should not be more than 3 times. If you apply that formula, for example, Madam Speaker, in this current division of revenue, close to 7 counties are actually going to be wound up because they will not be economically viable. And in fact, Madam Speaker, let me shock you. If you use a spreadsheet, for those of you that know, that are tech savvy and know how to use an Excel sheet, this thing is unachievable. It's not possible. It gives you a margin of error of 0 because every time you reduce, say for example, if you use the current formula, where Nairobi gets about 4,700 as a per capita distribution and Lamu gets 21,000. If you reduce Lamu's from 21 to 12,000 and you increase on the other one, then it tinkers and affects the final variation. Therefore, this proposal...
Honorable Senator, your time is up.
Is not possible.
It's exactly 12:30, and we will give when we reconvene at 2:30, we will give the first opportunity to Senator. I think you are through. You're not.